the great Sahabi Abdullah ibn Amr bin As, radiallahu عنهما. He and his father is considered to be from the Sahaba. May Allah be pleased with them all. And his kunya is Abu Muhammad, while others say is Abu Abdurrahman. But Abu Muhammad is a kunya accepted by many of the scholars. طيب. Abdullah bin Amr bin As al-Shami of Ajlan. He came from a city named Ajlan in Sham that was close to Gaza near Philistine. And Al-Hafiz ibn Hajar, rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentioned a narration in his book Al-Isabah, collected by Abu Zur'a in Tarikh Dimashq. There was a janazah, and the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam attended the janazah along with Abdullah bin Amr bin As. And there were other people there as well. And he asked the three of those people at that time, what were their names? And they all said their names was Al-Asi, and among them was Abdullah. He asked him, what is your name? And he said, my name is Al-Asi. And in the Arabic language, Al-Asi means the disobedient one, the one who disobeys. Subhanallah. So after he asked all three of these people, who all had the same name of Al-Asi, he said, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Antum Abidullah. You all are now the slaves of Allah. Meaning your name is Abdullah. So the narrator said, فَخَرَجْنَا وَقَدْ غُيِّرَتْ أَسْمَاؤُنَا. So we left the gathering, we left the janazah, bearing our friend, and our names were changed from that point onwards. Now, and this is from the guidance of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. If someone has a bad name with a bad connotation, then he would change it on the spot. He would change it on the spot. And he did that with many of the Sahaba. Even there's a case where some of the Sahaba had names that would praise themselves, like praiseworthy names, like Barra. And he would change those names as well, because we're commanded, فَلَا تُزَكُّوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Do not praise yourself. Now, so this is the guidance of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Of course, today, be careful if you're going to practice this. You can't just go around changing people's names. You might end up in a tussle. May Allah protect us all. Abdullah bin As, At-Tabari, he mentioned that he was tall, he was reddish in tone, he had white hair and a white beard, and he became blind towards the end of his life. Khairan. Him and his father both accepted Islam, but he accepted Islam before his father. And Abdullah accepted Islam before his father, and then his father, Amr, accepted it after him. And they were only 11 years apart, ikhwani akhawat. Subhanallah. Showing you how early people would get married and have relations back then. And that was the custom, that was the norm, for people to get married and have relations early on, because people were more mature. Now, that's how it was back then. And Abdullah was among the first of those who accepted Islam. He narrated many hadith, 700. And Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he said about Abdullah bin Amr bin As, that ما أحد من أصحاب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أكثر حديثا مني إلا ما كان من عبد الله بن عمرو فإنه كان يكتب. He said that there's no one among the Sahaba of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam who has more hadith than me, except for Abdullah bin Amr bin As. Why? Because he used to write down hadith, while I did not write it down as often or as much. Rather, he would memorize it. Naam, subhanAllah, showing you the great memory of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. And perhaps we'll learn something about him later on. طيب. But Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrated more than 5,000 hadith, ikhwani wa akhawat. He's the Sahabi who narrated the most ahadith of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But in this narration, he says that no one had more hadith than me other than Abdullah bin Amr. And we said that Abdullah bin Amr narrated how many hadith? Abu Hurairah narrated more than 5,000. Abdullah bin Amr narrated how many? 700. Tayyib. What's the bigger numbers? 5,000 or 700? How can this be? Does it make sense? Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala, he has a nice book. It's like a Tadween of Fawaid. I forgot the exact name. A notebook where he would just write down random benefits that came to him. Okay? And in this book, and it's published by the Mu'assasa. I forgot the exact name, but it's known. But in this book, he has a chapter on this, where he answers this question. And he says, there's a difference between having hadith, knowing hadith, and narrating hadith. Understand? Abu Hurairah narrated the most hadith. طيب? Although Abdullah bin Amr had more. And this is what Abu Hurairah is referring to, as to who knew more hadith. And Abu Hurairah, radiallahu anhu, he himself, because he accepted Islam during the Aam al-Khaybar. This is 7 years after the Hijrah. Okay, so he was only 4 years Muslim until the Prophet Muhammad passed away. So many of the hadith that he had, he actually heard from another Sahabi. He heard it from another Sahabi. He did not hear it directly from Prophet Muhammad. He heard it from another Sahabi. And then he narrated it to his students. وهكذا. Everyone understand this? Now, and the same could be said regarding Abu Bakr as-Siddiq as well. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq only has few hadith that have been narrated on his behalf. Does that mean that he did not have a lot of hadith? He did not know a lot of hadith? La. Rather, he was with the Prophet Muhammad from the beginning of his mission. There's no one who knows more ahadith than Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, radiallahu anhu. But as for him narrating hadith and people narrating from him, then that is few. Why is that? Because Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, radiallahu anhu, he became the Khalifa after the death of Prophet Muhammad. Now he became the leader of the Ummah. So he had different responsibilities. He didn't have time to narrate hadith as much. طيب? As opposed to Abu Hurairah, who secluded himself and focused on memorizing hadith and spreading it to the people. As mentioned Sahih Bukhari, that Abu Hurairah said himself, صحبت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم 3 سنين لم أكن في سني أحرص على أن أعي الحديث مني فيهن. أو كما قال رضي الله عنه. He said that I accompanied Prophet Muhammad for 3 years. Yani he was a Muslim for 4 years, okay, because he accepted Islam Aam al-Khaybar. It was the 7th year after Hijrah, the beginning of the year. And then he stuck with Prophet Muhammad for 3 years. Okay, so he was a Muslim for 4 years, and he was with Prophet Muhammad day and night for 3 years. And he said that there is no one more diligent than me in understanding the hadith than myself. Ala kullin, Abdullah ibn Amr ibn As knew more hadith than Abu Hurairah. And this is affirmed by Abu Hurairah himself, radiallahu anhum. There's different statements as to where he died, yani Abdullah bin Amr bin As. But Al-Waqidi, he said that he died in Sham in the year 65 after Hijrah at the age of 72. And we said that he became blind towards the end of his life. Radiallahu anhuma. Okay, we say radiallahu anhuma because he and his father were both companions.